We are going to slow it down a little bit so you have a better understanding of what these debates are, the likelihood of them happening. And honestly, in the last hour, it seems like that likelihood has changed dramatically to it's happening. It's on.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
You have a TV partner on both of these debates, whether that is the June 27th debate on CNN, and of course anything can happen between June and September, and the September 10th on ABC. I think this is coming out of 2 different reasons. One, you saw the cratering numbers for Joe Biden in those polls just yesterday, so I don't think that you should discount any of that. Then you have the situation where currently, obviously, Trump is dealing with not being able to campaign for a lot of his time. He is currently stuck in court. So what this does, it gets maybe a positive spin on a Trump potential presidency, because you're going to give him the opportunity to do what he usually does pretty well, which is debate and convince people. Again, those last debates in 2020, I think we kind of have to remove those. We know some of the problems that were going on during 2020 and obviously COVID and everything that came after that. So to me, erase those a bit and now go towards more of the 2016 Trump debates. However, there are rules and there are stipulations, things that could, in fact, hurt the president or hurt President Trump, but it does show weakness also on the Biden camp because they're saying we have to have all these rules.
That's right. And we see these rules coming out of a letter that they sent to the Commission on Presidential Debates last night. So the Biden campaign sent this letter to the Presidential Debate Commission saying we're not going to participate. Now, we already knew that these weren't going to happen because the RNC wasn't participating and President Trump wasn't participating with the Presidential Debate Commission anyways, but they were formally noticing them that they were not going to participate in the debates that were supposed to be some in October. There were 2 in October after early voting had already started. That was a big sticking point for a lot of people saying, hey, some people have already cast their ballots before even seeing these 2 candidates face off. But they did stipulate, hey, this is what we want to see in a debate. And so these are kind of some of the ground rules that the Biden campaign put forward.
I want you to listen to these and call me and give me your thoughts. Do you think the Trump campaign made the right decision by accepting the debates, knowing that these are the stipulations?
So they said, we believe the first debate should be in late June, which is an interesting thing to note since technically neither of them are nominated by their party at that time. This is before both conventions. But
yeah, we need to clarify that because there was talk about that. The fact that the debates that were going to be held by the debate commission, the official commission, the concern the Trump campaign had was these were going to be held after early voting started in certain states. These are independent.
Technically, yeah, they are independent. But
these are TV events.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is, so once again, we said it'd be in late June. They noticed that it would be likely after the New York criminal trial is over for Trump, and it will be after President Biden's G7 summit with the world leaders. They say it should be hosted by any broadcast organization that hosted a Republican primary debate in 2016 in which Donald Trump participated, and a Democratic primary debate in 2020 in which President Biden participated. So neither campaign can assert that the sponsoring organization is obviously unacceptable if both candidates have previously debated on their airwaves. So they were trying to draw that line of saying, like, look, it's got to be a news organization that Trump has gone to before and debated on so that he can't cry foul that it's MSNBC is the only one that would take this. The debate should be one-on-one, allowing voters to compare only the 2 candidates with any statistical chance of prevailing in the Electoral College and not squandering debate time on candidates with no prospect of becoming president. A little shade to RFK Jr. there. Yeah. The moderators should be selected by the broadcast host from among their regular personnel so as to avoid a, quote, ringer or a partisan. And there should be firm time limits for answers and alternate turns to speak so that the time is evenly divided and we have an exchange of views, not a spectacle of mutual interruption. And a candidate's microphone should only be active when it's his turn to speak to promote adherence to the rules and orderly proceedings.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of rules. It's a lot of process that I'm not sure benefits really either of them for that matter. I honestly don't hate the idea of cutting the mics off because we've seen what has happened because these moderators, if we're being honest, can't control the candidates. We've seen that time and time again. So you have some sort of technical stipulation. I guess I'm okay with it. The idea that RFK not invited to it does sting a little, and I think it stings a little because, sure, do I think he really has a chance of becoming the president right now? No, I don't. And as much as I think he's presenting interesting ideas that make people think, he also is an alternative that a lot of people who voted for Joe Biden and some that voted for President Trump last time because they don't want to vote for these two. And when he's polling 10%, 15%, it's not like that's a small amount of people. You're not talking about putting up Marianne Williamson. You're talking about putting up someone who's polling at 1% or less or 2%. You're talking about someone who has a sizable percentage of the American people behind them and saying, sorry, because we don't think you're going to win, your voice doesn't matter. That is just reinforcing the idea that a two-party system is the only way.
And I think it also shows how much I think this was a poll-driven decision by the Biden-Harris campaign. One, we talked about all those swing states where President Trump has sizable leads, and they were states that President Biden won in 2020, and they clearly are freaking out about that, and they need to showcase him. It's the risk, right? Do you showcase him and he comes across terrible, or does it showcase him? He looks like the leader that they believe he is, and he's the adult in the room. That's what they're gambling with. But I think the specific decision to point out the RFK statistical chance of winning was almost back to that discussion that RFK put out. When you do head-to-head matchups between RFK and Biden, he wins sizably.
Yeah.
And so they don't want that.
You are giving RFK somewhat what he wants, which is the fodder to keep this conversation going. I am sure in the upcoming days and his campaign stops, he will be talking about the fact that he's polling such high numbers and not allowed to debate. I can see the point of not having him there because he can't win. I get that. But when you statistically eliminate 10 to 15% of the country, that's a lot of votes. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people to tick off too. And where do they end up? If it's Biden calling these rules, it's not Trump calling that rule. Maybe they go Trump. We'll see. We got a lot of calls coming in. I'm going to take one real quick off the top. Let's go to Donna with a concern a lot of people have. Donna's watching on Facebook. Thank you for sticking around on Facebook. You're on the air.
I guess my concern is that the two networks that absolutely hate Trump are going to throw softball questions at Biden and really disparaging questions that have nothing to do with politics at Trump. Yeah. And it's going to be nothing to do but mudsling on Trump.
It very well could be, Donna. It could be that they're pulling questions that are more personal life or situations like that. I'm not sure. When you have CNN and ABC, I really think it's going to depend on who they've decided to make as their moderators. I bet we find that out potentially within the day or within the week,
right?
Who they decide to do that. CNN, I totally agree with you. But Trump, remember, did that big town hall on CNN a few months ago to counterbalance the Republican debate that was happening. So it's not like he and CNN don't have some friendly connections. They've even kind of said that in the statement.
Right, in that because he had participated in a 2016 primary debate on CNN, that was them trying to make it have the appearance of fairness, though
it's totally
there's no way it's fully fair.
And then the second one is ABC, and I think ABC is interesting. Obviously, it's a Disney-owned company. However, ABC, unlike NBC, which has an MSNBC affiliate, unlike Fox, which obviously has Fox News affiliate, ABC is a bit of an anomaly in that, where there's not a huge, global 24-hour news propaganda machine,
right?
With their name attached to it. Now they do have their own programming. They obviously have their morning shows and they have their Sunday shows. They certainly, I'd say, are still more left-leaning. They are not a conservative outlet. But at least they're, again, trying to create an appearance of nonpartisanship. And I think it depends on who gets selected as that moderator. So we'll see. We'll also see if any streaming partners partner with them. A lot of times that happens as well. We've seen it with the Republican debates. We had Rumble, we've had YouTube, we've had Facebook, we've had Salem News. We've had a bunch of them partner to be sort of that streaming affiliate. So we'll see who comes in on that. But it does seem like it's going to be more of the situation where they're less stand there and do a debate and more panel discussion in some ways with strict timelines and strict limits on what you can and can't say. Does it take a little bit of the fun out of it? Sure. I also wanted to take a minute here to tell you about what the ACLJ is doing in relation to this. This is the most important election likely of our lifetime. it is vitally important that we defend election integrity because we've seen what happens when we don't. We know states and localities, they're making election changes. They made changes last time. We got to make sure we are making sure the law is in place. You can do that. You can be a part of it. We've got a petition right now at aclj.org/sign. We have defeated the left's attempts at so many times to change the game and change the rules. We're going to stick to the rules. We're going to play by the rules of which are allowed. Our legal and government affairs team are already preparing for the fight ahead. We're ready to go back to the Supreme Court if necessary to protect the integrity of this and every other vital election coming up. We need you to take action with us. Sign that petition at aclj.org.